topic that we will discuss today is about global democracy. Here are the key that you need to take note about the democracy. Democracy, literally meaning rule by the people, empowers individuals to exercise political control over the form and functions of their government. While democracies come in several forms, they all feature competitive elections, freedom of expression, and protection of individual civil liberties and human rights. In most democracies, the needs and wishes of the people are represented by elected lawmakers who are charged with writing and voting on laws and setting policy. When creating laws and policies, the elected representatives in a democracy strive to balance conflicting demands and obligations to maximize freedom and protect individual rights. So, what is global democracy? Global democracy is a controversial issue that involves several theories possessed by different personalities, from authors to political theorists. It is likewise a field of political activism and academic study. Based to the definition that I have read about global democracy, it is a controversial issue. So, for example, we have a right for choosing a person na sa tingin natin ay magiging responsible in governing our country. So, it has become the focus of inquiry of different published writings such as sociology, international law, international relations, and political philosophy. So, writings such as sociology. So, the sociology, it is the study of the development of the society and also the study of the problems. So, international law. International law consists of rules and principles governing the relations and dealing of nations with each other, as well as the relations between states and individuals, and relations between international organizations. So, international relations are the interactions between sovereign states. And these interactions called international studies or international affairs. And also in political philosophy or political theory is the philosophical study of government addressing questions about the nature, scope, and legitimacy of public agents and institutions and the relationships between them. So, from the point of view of different groups, from scholars of global justice to global democrats, global democracy is related to how decision-making among different nations can be rationalized and who will be chosen to participate in the creation of global laws, regulation, and rules. So, the next is, what is democracy? So, what is the word democracy? The word democracy comes from the Greek words demos, meaning people, and kratos, meaning power. So, democracy can be thought of as power of the people, a way of governing which depends on the will of the people. So, democracy is a system of government in which laws, policies, leadership, and major undertakings of a state or the polity are directly or indirectly decided by the people, a group historically constituted by only a minority of the population.
The next is, what is importance in democracy? Democracy helps citizens to choose their leaders to run the government by free and fair election. Democracy provides equal rights among citizens on the basis of caste, religion, and sex. Democracy enhances the quality of decision making and also improves the dignity of citizens. So, ang importance ng democracy ay malaya tayo na pumili o bumoto kung sino ang gusto nating itanghal na mumuno sa ating bansa na ayon sa sarili nating desisyon. Nagkakaroon tayo ng equality or patas na pamamaraan sa pamagitan ng malayang pagboto. What is an example of global democracy? For example, voting. Voting is one of the ways to participate in our democracy. Citizens can also contact their official when they want to support or change a law. Voting is an election, and contacting our elected or official are two ways that Americans can participate in their democracy.
So, here are the types of democracy. First, the direct democracy. Direct democracy originated in ancient Greece during the 5th century BCE. Direct democracy, sometimes called pure democracy, is considered the oldest non-authoritarian form of government. In a direct democracy, all laws and public policy decisions are made directly by a majority vote of the people, rather than by the votes of their elected representatives.
So, here are the examples of the direct democracies. In some families, everyone votes on decisions they make as a family. So, so ito yung sinasabi natin na bago tayo bumoto sa family natin, meron tayong ginagawang isang desisyon na ito dapat yung iboboto natin, ito dapat yung presidente natin. So, yung desisyon na yun yung napag-usapan ng pamilya. So, yun na yun yung magiging desisyon pagdating sa labas o sa pagboto natin. And example number 2, in some classrooms, the students help make the rules for all to follow. So, sa classroom, bago tayo gumawa ng rules, nagtitipon-tipon muna tayong magkakaklase and nagkakaroon tayo ng suggestion bawat isa. Tapos kung ano yung napagkasunduan natin, yun na yung magiging rules natin sa classroom. So, that's the example of direct democracy that happens in a small group only.
Next is the representative democracy. Representative democracy, also called indirect democracy. Representative democracy is a system of government in which all eligible citizens elect officials to pass laws and formulate public policy on their behalf. These elected officials are expected to represent the needs and viewpoints of the people in deciding the best course of action for the nation, state, or other jurisdiction as a whole. So, in representative democracy, ang tao ay may kalayaan na pumili ng kanilang representative upang gumawa ng batas. While ang direct democracy naman ay nagkakaisa silang gumawa ng batas at napag-uusapan nila kung ano ba yung nararapat or ano ba ang nais ng bawat isa na maging batas. Next is the participatory democracy. In participatory democracy, the people vote directly on policy while their elected representatives are responsible for implementing those policies. Participatory democracies rely on the citizens in setting the direction of the state and the operation of its political systems. While the two forms of government share similar ideals, participatory democracies tend to encourage a higher, more than direct of citizen participation than the traditional representative democracies. Is liberal democracy. Liberal democracy is loosely defined as a form of representative democracy that emphasizes the principle of classical liberalism, an ideology advocating the protection of individual civil liberties and economic freedom by limiting the power of government. Liberal democracy employ a constitution, either statutorily codified, as in the United States, or uncodified, as in the United Kingdom, to define the powers of the government, provide to a separation of those powers, and enshrine the social contract. Parliamentary democracy. In a parliamentary democracy, the people directly elect representatives to a legislative parliament. Similar to the U.S. Congress, the parliament directly represents the people in making necessary laws and policy decisions for the country. Pluralist democracy. In a pluralist democracy, no single group dominates politics. Instead, organized groups within the people compete to influence public policy. In political science, the term pluralism expresses the ideology that influence should be spread among different interest groups, rather than held by a single elite group as an aristocracy. Compared to participatory democracies, in which individuals take part in influencing political decisions. In a pluralist democracy, individuals work through groups formed around common causes, hoping to win the support of elected leaders. Constitutional democracy. While the exact definition continues to be debated by political scientists, constitutional democracy is generally defined as a system of government based on popular sovereignty and a rule of law in which the structures, powers, and limits of governments are established by a constitution. Constitutions are intended to restrict the power of the government, typically by separating those powers between the various branches of government. As the United States Constitution system of federalism, in constitutional democracy, the Constitution is considered to be a supreme law of the land. So, next is socialist democracy. Democratic socialism is broadly defined as a system of government based on a socialist economy, in which most property and means of production are collectively, rather than individually, controlled by a constitutional established political hierarchy. Social democracy embraces government regulations of business and industry as means of furthering economic growth while preventing income inequality.